My name's Gary Stamford. I'm running for County Commissioner District 3, which will entail the whole county. I currently live in Mossy Rock and have been a county resident for 60 years, since that's how old I am. I've been an educator for 29 years, or close to 30 years now. I'm not even sure the years go by so quickly. But at that point, and I feel part of my experiences is the fact that I have been more of a public servant in many ways, so I have a lot of experience with that. And then, and the reason partly the reason I'm running is because of the fact that Lee's retiring, and I've had the opportunity to work with him and known him for a number of years, and I think it's a great opportunity for me to go out and serve the rest of the county the way I've felt like I've served the public schools for a number of years.
And that kind of was my next question for you. As you're a longtime educator, why go through all the trouble of entering politics at this point?
Well, partly it had to do with the fact that I'm kind of at a crossroads. I've got a couple of years left before I could retire, and I looked at it with an opportunity in mind. With Lee retiring, I thought it felt like it'd be a good opportunity for a possible career change, and yet get involved with something that I have a pretty good understanding with. But as I've found out getting into the race, you really don't have a lot of knowledge on some issues. But that's the reason I think I felt like I have been a public servant over the years, just being in the school system, and my vast experiences with the public, and I was a fire commissioner for 12 years too. So I've got a lot of community involvement, and so I think it probably just kind of dovetails on what I've been doing.
You emerged from a crowd of candidates, a big crowd of candidates. What do you attribute that to? Is it just getting out there?
Yeah, partly I think. And I've always kind of, because of probably my familiarity with a lot of other community members, coaching probably has helped me out in a lot of ways, because my name has been out there for a while, and the fact that they appreciate the product that I've always put on, whether it be in the classroom or out on the basketball court. But for the most part, it's just been a good opportunity for me to go out there and just see the people, and really see a lot of people that I've known, that I knew, and hopefully to be able to serve them.
Do you think East Lewis County gets enough attention, focus, and resources from Lewis County, at least its share?
I believe that they do. However, living in the eastern part of the county, it's a different dynamics. They don't have the same issues that other parts of the county has. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about specifically Chehalis and Centralia. Some of the things that are pretty simple to understand out here in this, especially in the west between Chehalis and Centralia, and some of the more less rural counties. Transportation, we have a lot of people up at that end of the county. They don't have, transportation is an issue. We've got Head Start, for example. The bus comes 5 miles at the rest area. Well, that's 5 miles before you get to Packwood. So there's a lot of people. So there's a lot of issues, I think, more than anything else. They do. I think Lee has represented the county well, and I think that as county commissioner, and all the county commissioners are very well aware of some of the challenges, and that's. But I think they've done a very good job, and I think they'll continue to do a good job.
What do you, in your initial research at least, and there's still a lot to learn, I'm sure, but what do you think is the number one problem or issue facing Lewis County government right now?
Well, probably like all counties, you want economic development or economic growth in your county, but the county commissioners really are not part of that. They have the Economic Development Council, which I know the county puts in a lot of money. But for the most part, I think that, and if law enforcement, public safety, senior citizens, the disenfranchised, social issues. They just had a nice forum the other at Centralia College, which I was there, which is very, very awesome. But that's the other thing, probably being in the school system, the information that was provided to us and that what Donna Beagle had provided, that's nothing new for anyone that's in education. We see that we see that all the time. So with budgets shrinking and less services being provided, that's an issue, I think. So there's a whole myriad of issues. I would like to see more law enforcement. I mean, we got a great law enforcement community, but at the same time, it's so they're overworked. And I know that people at the East End, because I'm in contact with them a lot of times, it's that's another issue. And again, everyone would like to have all these wonderful resources to fund these, but it does cost money, and there's a price to pay for all this, social issues with police enforcement, and so that's probably the biggest issues at this point in time. I see everyone wants public safety, transportation, better services for our seniors, and then of course jobs.
And you noted in your candidate statement you want to work tirelessly for seniors and vulnerable citizens. Can you kind of give an example of that?
Well, as county commissioner, you have certain responsibilities, and that technically, I think that you want to promote those. You're the fiscal officers, basically, of the county, and develop those. But at the same time, I think that you can be the point person for working with the different agencies, the United Way, and which we have a wonderful relationship with them. Coming up and helping out, but that's part of the process there, as far as making sure you build those relationships with them.
Recent issue with the county commission is they kind of clashed with the Port of Centralia on traffic studies and Centralia Station. What do you think of how that situation was handled, and would you have done anything differently if you were in on the conversation?
Well, when I got into the race, when I entered the race, the only thing I knew is what I read in the Chronicle and different information, because I had not spoken to any county commissioners. But I guess this is what I believe. I've worked with many people, different parents, organizations, business leaders, and I think I pride myself on having the ability to do that. I don't know where the missing link is there, but I guess what I do is I would pledge to work with both ports, Centralia and Chehalis, making sure, because they're the driving force as far as bringing job opportunities into our county. So I don't know specifically, only what I've read, and so I don't really have a total response on how I would have handled that differently. And until I would get more information and actually have a sit down with the people involved, to see what exactly took place there.
And kind of tying into that, another thing in your candidate statement was to fight for education and family wage jobs, which maybe Centralia Station would bring. Could you expound on that a little bit, just how you could do those two things as a commissioner?
Well, obviously I'm very pro-education. I've been that way, and again, I've worked in Mossy Rock as a teacher, and then also I've been up at White Pass for the last 5 years, and I see job opportunity for one, not only developing growth in our county, but also providing an avenue for opportunity for our students, future workers of the county. I see too many of our best and brightest leaving and never coming back. And so I know that Centralia, I've had a chance to talk to Dr. Frost, and he sounds like he's very, very open to seeing what our county needs, and through partnerships, continue the partnerships with the Economic Development Council, along with apprenticeship programs, along with making those programs available to all schools in the county. And I would obviously be a big advocate for that, and also a point person where I think that would be an opportunity for me to really put some expertise on something that I feel very confident in.
Obviously, as a Lewis County resident, flooding is an obvious concern. How do you think the commission has done through its correlation with the flood authority, And do you have any ideas you'd bring to the table or support for current efforts?
Well, I know that currently there's a plan in place to put a reservoir, a flood reservoir, I believe it, in place now. And I attended one of the meetings where they specifically talked about plans they had, but I'm not aware of, I have not talked specifically on to any of those individuals. I know that what would, just looking on it from the outside looking in, I would think there's probably going to be, legal challenges when they say that they're going to get the go-ahead, because usually that's what takes place is, once something gets approved, then you're going to have environmental groups probably coming in and challenging certain things, and as far as permits and other aspects of it.
Do you think the Cowlitz gets enough attention in those conversations?
Probably, I would say, because this is the hub, the I-5 corridor is the hub of Lewis County, and it's so vital. In a perfect world, I think that the Cowlitz would get more, but at the same time, I know that when they had the big floods, was in 2000, I don't remember the 2009, where I know Toledo was impacted and a lot of different smaller communities. And again, hindsight's 2020. I know that people would probably have different plans in place, and that's one of the things that I that as a commissioner, I know that you have to, orchestrate, plans to see exactly what we can do to alleviate that. But as far as you can never have enough. The Cowlitz is probably a prime example of that. But at the same time, we know that the resources are what they are, and we'll just work hard. And you always want to think that we're going to try to do less. In education world, we always have to do more with less. And I think as a county, we have to look outside the box a little to see if we can help the folks down on the Cowlitz and make sure that that doesn't happen again.
If elected, you join Bill Schulte and Edna Fund. What do you think about their performance so far as commissioners, and what do you think you'd add to that trio?
Well, I've had a chance over the last 6 months to meet both of them and shared a lot of opportunity with them as far as just working and not working, but listening to seeing how they interact with the community. And probably the real positive of the whole thing is, me personally, I've attended meetings, the county commissioner meetings, and one thing I like is their transparency. They're just so open, and everyone's involved, and it's open to all the meetings. There's no secrecy, and I think it'd be a great opportunity. I like the way they interact they go to the different, which is a responsibility, that they attend different, senior citizen groups, openings like the health council, was it 2 nights ago? Whatever night, the days just run together at some point. But those are important opportunities, because as a leader, you need to be there, and you need to listen to people. They are electing you, and you need to be you're a servant of the community, of the voters and the taxpayers.
Would you remain in your current job if you were to be elected?
No, I would be done. That's been people have asked me that, and I've tried to get it out there, but for the most part, before I got entered the race, I talked to our superintendent last year, and I told her what my thoughts were at that time, and she, we worked out some language there, and basically I'll be done at the end of in January when the semester ends.
Mm-hmm.
So and take on these new responsibilities, because it would be impossible to do, and if anyone's ever been a principal, especially now with the new criterion and the new eval system, it's difficult. You could never do it. You could never do it.
We're a little ahead, still got about 5 minutes. I got one more question for you, but I want to give you a chance to talk about any issue we haven't asked you about.
Okay.
That, maybe you'd like to talk to people about.
Oh, okay. Well, again, I think I probably spoke a little bit about it. Because I'm an educator, I understand our social, the social issues, I suppose, of of our county, and again, it's not just White Pass, it's all over the county. It's, you know, we know that, you know, people need help, families need help, and part of my responsibility obviously is to make sure that I'm out wherever I see wherever I can help with different issues as far as, you know, they talk about poverty, you know, and so those are areas I would see myself getting really involved with, aside from doing the main responsibility of you know, running the county, being the legislative, one of the three legislative arms of the county. So those are, I think that, and along with just, you know, we always claim that we're lifetime learners as educators, and this would be no different. You know, I think, you know, my leadership skills, and that's one thing about it, I think, that I've always felt like that probably separates me from the rest of the candidates, even in the primary, is, you know, I've dealt with budgets, you know, in 3 different school districts. I'm making decisions every day that, you know, some of them are, you know, life influential, and some of them are not, but probably more than anything else, the fact that you know, I work with different teachers, entire staffs, and really looking at the best ideas to bring together, listening, and then making those tough decisions. So,
last question here, probably the last question, is one we've asked everyone, and it's what's one thing about you voters probably don't know?
one thing about me that voters don't know. Boy, that's a tough question.
It's supposed to be the easiest one.
I know. Probably they don't know about me. Well, let's put it this way. Probably one of the things that the voters don't know about. You know, some people do, but most know, is the fact that, you know, I go to work every morning at 7 o'clock, and I get home late. So I've never had a time clock. So those are the things I'm willing to, I think probably I'm willing to do, and I've done that in the past, is just, I'm not going to quit until the job's done.
Anybody else have any questions?
I actually have a
Yeah,
question.
go for it.
Kind of something you touched on briefly. One of the biggest complaints I've heard from citizens and readers in the East County area is about the crime issues in the area. Do you feel like there's issues there? And if you do feel that way, what as commissioner would you do, or ideas might you bring to the table to look at that?
Well, I'd probably get a chance to talk to the department and see exactly where the resources are being allocated to. And especially, and again, as a principal, I talk to law enforcement quite often, and probably the biggest thing is the fact that I think, not that we just don't have enough officers, you know, to go around in the county. That's the biggest thing, you know. And sometimes when I'll call there, which are very, very good, most of the time it's not an emergency situation, but it will take time to get up there. And it would really be nice to have some sort of I know they got a substation in Packwood there, but I currently don't know if there's an officer that are staged there off the time. I know the sheriff's department's on the road all the time, so they don't just stay in one place. So I would just make sure that our outer counties, probably, if we could take a look at the scheduling, and however it might turn out, as far as maybe there could be an opportunity for you know, more officers on the road, and probably dispersed into some of the outer counties, you know, with a little more frequency, I guess.
Thank you.
Anything else? I think that's it. You're done.
Okay.
The drive took a lot longer than the interview.